Good afternoon, and this is September 2nd, 2015 at about 1:45, and I am joined in studio today with Kelly Besel. Kelly, thank you so much for being here and being willing to share your Vietnam stories with us. I really appreciate it. So.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Well, you're a Laurel native, so you're from right around here. Let's talk about what were you doing before Vietnam? Tell me about life before Vietnam.
Well, I was born and raised on a farm, and graduated from Laurel High School.
Okay, which class?
1968.
1968. Okay.
And then I enlisted in the Navy.
Okay. Why'd you enlist in the Navy?
I don't know. I always wanted to be a sailor.
Okay. But you enlisted in a time you had to know Vietnam was going on, right?
Oh, definitely.
Okay. Was that part of the reason you enlisted, or did that worry you, or was that one of the reasons why you wanted to enlist?
No, I knew Vietnam was going on, but I figured Navy would be better than the Army.
Why that? Why'd you figure that?
Well, I didn't think I'd be inside Vietnam.
Right. So tell me, so you enlisted, and then where did you go from there? You enlisted, I'm sure, out of Billings. Did you enlist out of Billings? And then where?
And then I went to boot camp in San Diego.
Okay.
And then from there I went to San Francisco.
Okay.
And then from San Francisco, I went to the Philippines on a floating dry dock.
Okay.
And from there to Vietnam.
Wow. Let's talk about what were you trained to do in the Navy? What was your job?
I was a ship fitter pipe.
Okay.
Which is, I welded.
Okay. Yeah. So is that what you had thought the Navy was going to be like when you signed up, or did it meet your expectations?
Well, not really, but sort of.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah. What was boot camp like? Was that tough? San Diego's a lot different than Laurel, Montana.
Yeah, it was. At the beginning, it was tough, but then as you went through, it got easier.
Yeah. So you're a pipe fitter, and you get sent out to first the Philippines. Was that a longer term, or did you know that you were headed then into Vietnam?
No, that was 18 months.
Okay.
And I didn't know I was going to Vietnam until I got my orders.
Wow. So what were you doing in the Philippines? Because Philippines doesn't sound like bad duty.
No, it's good duty.
What were you doing in the Philippines?
Working on the dry dock.
Okay.
And what a dry dock is, it submerges.
Okay.
And then they pull ships in, and then
you lift them back up?
You lift them up.
That's pretty. How long does it take? Now, I imagine a dry dock is a pretty big piece of equipment. How long does it take to get from San Diego to the Philippines?
A dry dock does not have any motors, propellers, right. Nothing.
So you're towing it?
It's got to be towed.
How long does that take to tow a dry dock?
Well, we went from Subic Bay to Guam, and I think, if I remember right, 9 days.
That doesn't seem like so long. That seems like you're moving, actually, with a dry dock in tow.
Oh, yeah.
Huh. Huh. So you were fixing in the Philippines. You were fixing was it just ships that came in for what were you doing? What did the dry dock? What kind of ships did it work on? Is it repair? Is it maintenance? Is it what do you
Repair.
Okay. And these are repair are these general, are these ships coming out of Vietnam that had seen
No, they were general repairs.
Okay. Okay. So you did that for 18 months. Life is good. You're fixing ships. You're in the Philippines. You're in the Navy. Life is good. And then let's talk about your orders for Vietnam. When did you learn about that, and how'd you find out that you were going to Vietnam?
A couple days before I left the Philippines.
Okay. And they said what?
Report to Na Bay, Vietnam.
Okay. What were your thoughts when you heard that?
I about crapped.
I imagine so, right? Yeah. That seems like what we'd all do, because at the time that the war is going hot and heavy, and 68, 69, there are no years that weren't a lot of losses.
Right.
So, were you given any time to do an R&R, or did you just have to go right to Vietnam? Were you given any kind of break?
I had 30-day leave.
Okay. What did you do during that 30 days? Were you able to come home, or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. How do you enjoy 30 days knowing that you're turning around to go to Vietnam?
It's tough, but you cope with it.
How did you cope with it?
Kept thinking about tomorrow.
Yep. It seems like that's a common coping, yeah. So when you were overseas, what did you miss? I mean, I grew up in Billings and Laurel, and I moved away for a while, not to Vietnam, not overseas. But I know there's things about Montana that I missed. Were there things about Montana you missed when you were overseas? And if so, what? Because you're in the Navy. There are not a lot of oceans in Montana, so you knew you probably wouldn't be in Montana. Did you miss Montana? Did you miss things about home?
Yeah.
What did you miss?
The blue sky.
Yeah? Yeah.
The silence.
Really? So it was always loud somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think anybody who's been in Montana and loves Montana for Montana can relate to that. So you have this 30-day leave, and then you go over. You go over, and then where do you go?
We landed in Saigon.
Okay. Airplane?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we spent 3 or 4 days, if I remember right, in Saigon.
Okay.
For indoctrination. And then after that,
You went to where you're going.
Yeah.
What's the tell me a little bit about when you got there and you landed in Saigon. What's that plane ride must seem awfully long to get to Saigon.
I didn't think we'd ever get there.
Really? Had you? Yeah, because the plane ride just seems. Did you have to make several stops? I know some people had to go like to Alaska and then Guam, or some people went to Hawaii.
We went from San Francisco to Alaska, Japan, and then Vietnam.
That's a long way. Gives you a lot of time to think, I imagine, too. Was the plane ride quiet? What were people doing on that plane ride?
Nothing.
Really? Just sitting. You land in Saigon, you get off the plane. What do you remember seeing or thinking or hearing?
Honestly, I don't remember.
Okay. Fair enough. You get there. What do they do? What does indoctrination mean? What do they tell you that's different than what you?
You can do this, but you better not do this.
Okay. Do you remember any of the things that you could not do or that you thought, that's odd?
Yeah.
Okay, like what?
Shoot at someone if you're not positive they shot at you.
Wow. So you had to be positive they were the ones doing the shooting or you could not return fire. Okay, did that strike you as odd?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, I imagine so. What else, did they tell you anything about the country that you're going to or the culture or anything like that?
No.
No, they were just telling you what you could and couldn't do. What did they encourage you to do? What did they say you could do? Or do you just remember what they couldn't?
Mostly what you couldn't.
That's anything else that you remember that you couldn't do?
No.
Okay. So then where did you go? After the indoctrination, then where did you find yourself?
Nabe.
Nabe. And tell me about Nabe.
It's about 15, 20 miles south of Saigon on the Saigon River.
Okay. And what does it look? What do you recall it looking like? Give me an idea of what this place looks like.
There was it was a little village, but just shacks.
So pretty remote or pretty.
Yeah.
This wasn't like a small town in Montana, I take it.
No.
Right. Did you ever find yourself wondering, I'm from Laurel, Montana. What am I doing in south of Saigon? Did that ever strike you as odd?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of surreal?
I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. And you had thought, too, and I don't want to put words in your mouth because I think we said this, but you kind of thought that, well, maybe Navy I'd be out of this, but you found yourself right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So what was the Navy doing in that area, and what were you doing as the Navy? Because I wouldn't have thought of that either. But you were fixing, was it river boats or?
Yeah.
Okay. The river rats that would go up. Are you fixing their?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where was the home base for you? What did that look like?
Honestly, I never seen it.
Okay.
Because I was on, it was a small ship.
Okay.
On the river. It was anchored in the river, called the USS Tutuila.
Tutuila.
ARG-4.
Okay.
And that was a year.
The year you spent on that. What kind of living? Tell me about the living quarters on an ARG-4. What seems a little confining.
Very.
Okay, what was that like? Tell me about kind of where'd you sleep? Where'd you live? How did you survive?
Well, you had your bunk.
Okay.
And your locker, if you will, was underneath your mattress.
Okay.
And you get to know the people very well.
How many other guys were there with you on that?
Ooh, I want to say 60.
Wow. But you get to know them, and you're there a year now. Some of them are rotating in or out, but you get to know them very well, right?
Yeah.
And you're on a boat, so you just can't walk away or go somewhere else.
No.
Huh. What kind of boats? What kind of repair work did you find yourself doing? Like, give me an idea of what.
Hull repair.
Okay. So when something was shot or hit a mine.
I would say that was the biggest.
Is you're just repairing hulls?
Well, a lot of times pipes.
Okay. Okay, so you were doing that. What was the we've heard a lot about the temperature and the climate. What was it like being on the river in Vietnam?
Terrible.
Yeah, why?
The heat.
Yeah. I met, and you can't really escape it, right?
No.
Did you have a lot of rainy season? Was it rainy too?
We had a rainy season,
Okay.
and, well, it'd get down to about 75,
Okay.
80.
That's the low.
Yeah. During the monsoon season.
Did that create? Was that hard? You're out in a boat. Was the boat big enough to be stable, or was it pretty? Did it ever get choppy or rocky when it was raining or storming?
Well, the river was about the size of the Yellowstone.
Okay.
You know, as far as
The width.
wide.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the river? Did it look like the Yellowstone?
Oh, heavens, no.
Okay. What made it different than how it looked?
The Yellowstone during high water,
Mhm.
how muddy, that's what it was like all year.
So it was really muddy.
Really dark.
Okay. Did it was hot. I imagine with it being around hot and that much water, it was also pretty humid.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of mosquitoes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had to take malaria pills.
I've heard how much people love those, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What else? How did you? This may sound like a crazy question, but if you're out on the river and stuff, what'd you eat, and what was the food like in Vietnam?
Not like Mom made,
Yeah.
but you wouldn't starve to death,
Okay.
but when you're hungry, you'll eat anything.
So they weren't sea rations.
No.
So you did have some food. Did you ever get to go off the boat or get on shore? When you got on shore, what'd you get to do, or did you get?
We go into that little village,
Okay.
have a couple beers, and
Yeah. What was that little village like? Tell me what that was like.
oh, that wasn't. You could walk from one end of it to the other in about 15 minutes.
Huh. So what was if you went in and had a few beers, where would it be like a, is it like a bar? Was it a bar?
No,
Huh.
it was sort of a tent
Okay.
with no ends on it.
Really? So just basically a covering from the sun,
Yeah, that's it.
and that's your bar. Was there good beer in Vietnam?
We drank American beer.
Okay. So they had American beer over there.
Yeah, but it didn't taste like you were used to, or I was, or it had formaldehyde in it. Keep it from going bad.
Okay. So it'd have a weird taste in it.
Yeah.
So would they have the brand names you'd recognize, like Budweiser or
No, bud. They had Pabst Blue Ribbon.
PBR? Well, it's good to know some things don't change, right? But it didn't taste the same.
No.
Wow. When you got over there, what were the people? Did you get to interact with any of the people?
A few.
What was that like?
I'm not going to say they welcomed us,
Okay.
but they were decent.
Okay. Was there a language or a communication barrier?
There would have been for me,
Right.
but they spoke very broken English.
Okay.
Didn't know many words.
Right. But at least, as one person said, their English was better than my Vietnamese.
Definitely.
Okay. So you're out on the river. Are you a target for the enemy?
Yeah.
How did that, tell me how that would work? I mean, did they shell you? Did they try to shoot? How did you survive?
Well, every 5 minutes, I think on the boat there, on the port side, 2 grenades, they throw grenades over the side. I think every 5 minutes on both sides, and then the front and the back. Every 5 minutes a grenade was going off.
That must have been crazy. I mean, there's no peace.
No. You get used to it.
Yeah. How loud's a grenade?
It's loud.
It's loud, and every 5 minutes, but it's the background noise?
Yeah.
And so they just did that to always be kind of as almost an offensive thing, right? I mean, to keep them
barrier.
Okay. Did the enemy ever? And you weren't too far from Saigon, so that's strategic. Did they ever try to put in a grenade incoming or shoot back?
They did.
Okay. What did you do in those situations? Because I'm guessing that you'd have to quit work, right? I mean, but you're out on the river. How do you take cover? How does that work on a Navy boat?
Well, the best way you know how.
Okay. So you'd find whatever. Would you have to go to a battle station and shoot back, or was that part of your job?
No.
Okay.
Although a friend of mine and I was up on the deck, and they did throw grenade onto the boat.
Wow. What would you do then?
I scooped it up and threw it off.
That had to be a really tense moment. And I mean, what are you thinking? You're going to pick up a live grenade. What were your thoughts?
Either me or
everyone else. Wow. That had to be an amazing moment. I bet you threw it off and then that's when it discharged?
In the air.
Really? Huh. Wow. And and so they were firing. How do you cope with either grenades going off every day or knowing that you're a target? How do you even do your normal pipe fitting job?
You get used to it.
It's amazing what you can get used to.
Yeah.
Grenades. Did you I mean, I imagine when you're picking up a live grenade, there are moments that you thought you might not return.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a tough thought, I imagine.
Every morning when you wake up.
Yep. How did you sleep? Because if there's a grenade going off, I always get mad when I hear a neighbor's dog barking. How do you?
Constantly, 24 hours a day.
So you can sleep through a grenade. Huh. That's pretty amazing. What did you hear a lot? Did you get how much correspondence and news did you get from home here in Montana?
A lot.
Did you? What were those letters, or what did you hear about in Montana when you were over there?
Most of them, 90%, very uplifting.
Yep. Did you write back?
Oh yeah.
What were you able to tell them what you were doing, or did you leave that out? Yeah. What do you remember telling your family or your friends?
Oh, never told them about the grenade.
Yeah. That came later? When you tell people that grenade story, what do they think?
That I'm BSing them?
Yeah. And so that's why Vietnam vets often say you don't know unless you were there. When you, so you were over there, you were in country about 12 months, is that?
Right to the day.
You remember, everyone says they remember their Deros Day, their date that they get out of the country.
I do.
Did you kind of count that off, or while you're in country, do you kind of tick that off in your head?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did you, when you were there, did you get more nervous as you got closer to getting out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little more vigilant. What, so when it came time for you to leave the country, what do you remember about leaving Vietnam?
I miss my buddies.
Yeah. So that was hard. It was actually harder than what you thought?
Yeah.
And so they say you're going home, and then do you pack up and ship back, or how does that work?
We flew home,
Okay.
but that flight was longer than the one over.
Tell me about that. Why?
Just
longer. How did it feel leaving Vietnam?
actually good.
Yeah. Did you? And then where did you fly from? Where were you processed through? And then
I can't remember. I know we stopped in, I think, Japan, Hawaii, and landed in San Francisco again.
okay. And did you still have more time to serve, or were you done with the Navy?
Well, I had less than 1 year to go,
Okay.
and I had an option of staying or getting out.
Okay. And you chose
Out.
out. So did you ever consider staying on longer?
I did.
Okay. Why? Tell me about why you would even consider that.
Well, I was only 21 years old.
Huh.
And what am I going to do with the rest of my life?
Yeah. You'd already seen a lot in 21 years. But you still opted to go out.
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you ultimately decide it's time to get out?
I think Vietnam helped me a lot.
In what way?
I don't want no more of this.
Right. Right. Yeah. In general, was the Vietnam experience, how would you characterize it for you, not for everyone?
Made me grow up a whole bunch.
Yeah. Yeah. In 21, you'd already seen a lot, as you'd said.
Yeah.
What, would you do it again?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. Okay. What do you think you learned the most about you from your experience in the Navy?
As far as
Just from, you said I got out and it gave me a lot of good experience. What were the positives that you took from that experience?
discipline
Okay.
and listen to people.
Hmm.
And I found out 21 years old, we all think we know everything.
And did you know?
No, I didn't.
Yep. Did you, when you came back, how was reintegration into because you're in a war zone for more than a year. You had grenades going off every 5 minutes where you were I'm guessing grenades are not going off every 5 minutes in Laurel.
No.
How did you take to getting back to society?
It took a little bit.
Okay.
I couldn't sleep because I couldn't hear the noise.
So you had trained yourself to sleep with noise. Must have been awfully tiring not being able to sleep. I mean, that sounds miserable. Did people notice any changes in you?
I was told they did.
What did they say they noticed different about you?
I was a lot different than when I left.
Okay.
I know I was more reserved.
So that experience had changed you. Did you notice it in yourself? Did you agree with them, or did you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Fair enough.
I went through it wasn't a long period of time where I wanted to leave me alone. I want to.
Yeah. You just wanted. Yeah.
Be alone.
Was that alone time for processing your thoughts, or was it that you had been surrounded by 60 people in close conflict?
Very well could be.
Okay. Yeah. Because you were in a closer, I mean, everybody was confined in Vietnam, but you were in pretty close, 60 guys on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you had your own cot and a locker. That seems, yeah.
Yeah, that was home.
How did you make it? I mean, we tend to make the best of what we've got no matter what. How did you make that boat or that area home? How did you or the guys you were with make your buddies make that livable?
It was home. Where are you going to go? Yay.
Yeah. What's those guys? I imagine they came from all over.
All over the United States.
Do you still keep in touch with them?
Couple.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. What do you remember sights and smells? You know, it seems like our sensory things, that which we sense, are the most powerful things. What do you remember about the sights or the smells or about Vietnam? If someone says, "What's that country?"
Distinctive smell.
Really? Was it a good smell or a bad smell?
Bad.
Okay. What was it like?
Stale water.
Okay.
Swamp.
Okay, it smelled like the swamp. Is that, have you ever been back to Vietnam?
No.
Do you have any desire to?
No.
Okay. Did it, what was, when you were over in country, I mean, I know it sounds crazy to ask this question like this. You know, you're not used to grenades. You're not used to, at least most people didn't come from Laurel certainly was not that place. What was the hardest thing to get used to for you?
Being on the boat.
Okay. Confined, you mean? Fair enough. Yeah, especially on a guy from Montana where all we got is land.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that, you went over there in 69, you were over there? Was that the year you were over there? 70. So you know that from the States that the public sentiment of Vietnam, people weren't feeling great about it. Not everybody, but there was it was not a popular war. How did that affect you?
I didn't care for it.
Okay. Yeah.
The protesters here at home.
Yeah.
And then, well, of course, I'm not going to get into it.
Okay.
Jane Fonda's little deal.
Yep. Hanoi Jane.
Yeah.
So that didn't set well with you.
No.
Yeah. What did it do? What did you, when you were over there with your buddies and you're getting shot at and you're in a war zone, was that a demoralizing thing to know
Very
that
much.
Yeah. Was it something that you talked about? Was it something that was a part of conversations?
But I wouldn't tell you what was said.
Okay. I can imagine it was pretty harsh.
Very,
Okay.
to say the least.
Yep. What was so when you were talking, those conversations that weren't about Jane Fonda, what did you guys talk about? What passed the time?
Home.
Home? What did you think what was the priority when you got home? What was the thing that you were going to do?
Relax.
Yep. Anything in particular to relax?
No.
That's the point, right? When you got home did you fly back to Billings when you were done with what was the reception like? Was there any reception or tell me?
Oh, yeah.
Was that a happy, so you got,
Very much.
so people were happy. It was not unlike, it wasn't like going through San Francisco where people were spit on.
Where we got spit on.
You got spit on in San Francisco. That's a tough memory. What did you think when you got off? You'd survived picking up a live grenade and throwing it, and you got spit on for that. That must be pretty tough.
Yeah.
But yet you got a good reception in Billings.
Yeah.
What did you do after you got home? You got that relaxation. You wanted to kind of be left alone. Then what did you do? How did you pick up your life?
I got a job.
Okay, what did you do?
I started changing tires at the Farmers Union Co-op in Laurel.
I know where that is. Yeah. Did you have the same friends that you had before you left?
Yeah.
So you were able to reconnect with friends.
Yeah.
Did that help? Kind of getting back to normal, or
Yeah.
could you get back to normal after going to a war zone?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you make your mind up to it, you can do anything.
Yeah. Did you think did you notice your pattern of behavior? Some people have talked about, some of the vets that I've talked to said, I didn't like loud sounds. You said you couldn't sleep without them. Did you notice any of your behavior change after the war, that a certain behavior pattern had changed you?
Well, like I said, I was more reserved.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did you, when you watched 74, 4 years later, Saigon Falls, what was your reaction to Saigon? Because you were right, you'd been there. What was that? Must have been hard to see.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looking back on it today, Vietnam, how do you, it's been 45 years for you. Do you see the war differently today, or how do you see it? How do you see it looking back on it?
The country figured that was something that had to be done. And I guess you might say I was one of the lucky ones to be involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
proud of your service?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about when you were fixing ships? What was that hard to see ships that had taken a mine or needed repair? Is that a hard thing to do?
Yeah, sort of. What I would think of, how many people died?
Right, and you're fixing the aftermath. That's hard to think about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like that you had made a mistake going into the Navy, or had made a mistake by enlisting?
No.
Okay.
No.
So you always felt okay about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. When people ask you today about Vietnam, just as if they see you wearing that hat or know about it, what do you normally tell them? Except for the pesky journalists who asked you to come in here and talk about it. What do you normally tell them about your experience from Vietnam?
Not much. But if they have a question, I'll be honest and answer them.
Right.
If I have an answer.
Right. Right. Do you think, have you kept in touch with other veterans in the community, and is is that a helpful thing, or is that something that you've participated in?
Well, I belong to the VFW.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty active in it. Up at the Heights.
Yep.
VFW. I'm on the Honor Guard. I'm post adjutant. And on the House and Building Committee. So I'm quite active. And I'm intermingling with vets all the time.
Does it help to intermingle with other vets?
I think so.
In what way?
It lets me know I wasn't the only kid over there.
Yeah. Well, you were just a kid. How old were you when you were over there? 20, 21?
20.
Wow.
Well, I was in Vietnam on my 21st.
How do you celebrate a birthday in Vietnam, Kelly?
You don't.
It's just another day?
Yeah.
Does that make it hard? Do you celebrate anything over in Vietnam?
No.
Wow. What do you think you saw differently when you came back home to America? How did you see this country, or how did you see Montana differently?
Learned to appreciate it.
Yeah. What do you think you appreciate a lot more now than you would have, say, if you'd never gone to Vietnam?
Oh, the mountains, streams,
Yep.
blue sky, the people.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds as reasonable as anything. What did you, when you know, one of the reasons we do this is because I want people looking back 50 years from now. You might still be around, but I probably won't be. When they look around, when they ever look back 50 years ago and they wonder what Vietnam was like, what the war was like, what do you hope they remember, or at least not forget?
Why we were there.
Okay, and we were there for
keep us free.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the when we look back at Vietnam, we talk about it being at the time unpopular war, fought on foreign soil, but it seems like we treat veterans today better than we treated Vietnam veterans. Is that true? I mean, you get to deal with a lot of the guys coming home. Do we treat them better than what we treated?
I think today I'm treated better than I was when I got out.
Really? In what ways?
Well, San Francisco got spit on.
Yeah. Today you're not going to be spit on.
No.
That must have been a hard thing to accept, that you'd just gone over there and someone would do that to you. What was your reaction when that happened?
Couldn't believe it.
Really? Yeah. Kind of shock and disbelief?
Yeah. I had some thoughts going through my mind, but
you didn't act on them.
no.
Because you're sitting here. But that's talking to other vets. That's not an atypical experience. A lot of there have been many who had that experience. That must have been hard for a Montana kid because Montana has always been kind of patriotic and supportive.
Yeah.
Did you come from a military family?
No.
Really? But you still wanted to enlist?
Yeah. My older brother was in the Navy.
Okay.
And then me. That's it.
Did he go to Vietnam too?
Yeah.
So he had the experience too.
Well, he was in the air part of it.
Okay.
Well, they flew missions.
Okay.
I'm not saying he had a cushy job.
Right. I can imagine when you get around the family table, there was some the finer points were discussed.
Yeah.
When you were fixing boats, would you tell me about an average day? What would an average day like in Vietnam? You said you had no holidays, so just walk me through an average day.
Get up at 5.
Early.
Eat. Report in. Then go to work.
And you'd work how many hours for the day?
12.
Wow. Were you just always tired? Because that seems like it would just be nothing but, I mean, it's physical labor. You're out in the hot and
Yeah.
heat and sun.
But that shower sure felt good when we got one.
And did you get one often? Could you, I mean, was there a facility to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we couldn't use it every day.
Okay. Did you, what do you remember about, was there any free time? Did you have any time to do anything? Because there wasn't TV and there wasn't, right?
Generally, no TV, no radio.
Okay.
Generally, we could take a break. Generally, Sunday afternoons.
Okay. So you still knew it was Sunday. You still got the days of the week.
Well, yeah. And then Sunday afternoon, we could go to church.
Okay.
And lay around.
Did they have church there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't the same minister. Sometimes we had a Protestant, sometimes a Catholic, Jewish.
But you'd go to church if you're religious. Did a lot of guys attend?
Quite a few.
Do you think, you don't think of Vietnam as a spiritual place. You don't think of war as spiritual. I mean, I know the old phrase that there are no atheists in foxholes. I get that. But is it a place where that can happen? Can you have some kind of spiritual dimension in a war zone?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all what's in your heart.
Yeah. Yeah. So so you didn't get any radio, you didn't get any television. It was basically that leaves reading, playing card games.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the did you get any kind of music or any, I mean, there's great music during that time. Did you get any of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tapes.
Tapes of the reel to reel?
Yeah.
Okay. What songs, are there any particular song, there's been so much written about the Vietnam period, songs, movies. Are there any songs that you hear or movies that you've seen that you think, yeah, that was kind of what Vietnam was like?
Oh, not really. Not from where I was.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. When you did go into town, or to the village, was there much communication with the locals, or was it just, did you kind of keep to yourself?
We kept to ourselves.
Okay. And you always went in a group, right?
Yeah, at least 3 of us.
Okay. Do you remember anything about? So they lived in very primitive conditions. Is that
Very.
okay? Was that a shock to you coming from a place like Montana? I mean, still in Montana, we got it pretty good compared to that.
Yeah. I don't know where them people slept.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. I never seen nothing with 4 sides. No building with 4 sides.
And this is a very rainy part of the country.
Yeah.
Did they have beds or anything like that?
I have no idea.
When you talked about you wouldn't starve, what home cooking or what thing did you? It seems like every vet that I've talked to has some kind of, when I got home, this was the first meal I wanted because they missed home cooking or they missed something. Did you miss anything in particular?
Yeah, the German cooking.
All right, you and I come from the same background. What part of the German cooking would have you given a lot for at that time?
Potatoes and dumplings. Dumpling glaze.
Yeah. Yep. Did you get it when you got home?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think out of all the things that have happened? What are you the proudest of that you did in the military? What makes you the most proud as a vet?
I'm thinking how to say this.
Okay.
Serving U.S.
Yep. Yep. So, what does it mean to you to be a patriot? Or do you consider yourself one?
Yeah, I do. It makes me proud.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Do your kids or other family ask you about, family members ask you about your service in Vietnam?
No.
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 Is it,
They never did ask.
really? Did you ever tell them?
A few little things.
Right. Right. What was the hardest thing for you to have to see in Vietnam?
Wow. Boy, I don't know.
Okay.
I can't answer that one.
Okay, that's fine. I can take a no answer. I can take an honest no. So I've talked a lot about. I've shot a lot of questions your way. I've peppered you with many questions. Have I missed any? I always feel like it's hard for me to say we're going to sit down and I want all of your experiences because this was 3 years of your life that you were involved in the military, and I'm trying to cover it in this very short span. So of course I'm going to miss more than I got.
Oh yeah.
But have I missed anything about your experience that you think I haven't shared or
No.
this? Well, I want to say 2 things. I want to say first of all, thank you for sharing your stories because it's been very good to hear your voice. And then the second thing I want to say is thank you for your service. Thank you for going over there, and thank you for signing up. I appreciate your service.
You're welcome.
Thank you for doing that. This has been Daryl Ehrlich. This has been Vietnam Voices, a project by the Billings Gazette.